Hello and welcome back to Ears to the East, where today we are going to be talking about the brand new song from a relatively brand new band, neki. It's their second single ever. It's called Reigen Girl. I just got spell checked by someone in my comments on one of my channels about the actual name. I mistranslated it, but it's Reigen Girl is the way it's supposed to be translated. So, yes. Now, I've just played this to Benedict. Benedict, you had not heard of the band. You didn't know anything about them. Considering a new band, I'm not overly surprised. So, given that you have no information to jump in on, except for the fact that, like I told you, they're relatively new and they are getting a lot of support, what do you think?
I thought it was quite nice. I enjoyed the song a lot. It had an interesting combination of a more, it starts out being more, yeah, I'm not sure if you could call it metal, but more of that hard rock, heavier style, and then switches to a completely more punk rock, more of that vibe. And really liked the combination. And overall, I think the production, everything, the sound of it sounds really great. I wouldn't have guessed this would be like such a new small group. So I would guess I don't know, are there people in this group that have previous experience with other bands or something like that?
And this one's going to jump in.
It's really good, in my opinion.
And this one's going to jump in and correct me. I don't believe there are any former members of other bands in this group. I think they're all quite young, and I think this is like pretty much their first big thing. They seem to have been picked up. I believe they've actually been picked up by Pony Canyon already. But they've definitely got some decent money now coming in to help them out. So although they're not like a big name, big budget band, yeah, it seems like they're getting like the good studio and everything, and they're getting the necessary things to help them along their way.
Just can you tell me, did the first single sound like similar production wise?
Production wise, it was fairly similar.
Right.
And so that the high quality is not a new thing for them. That was the case on their first single as well. But they got quite well known for doing covers of a certain band. Any guesses you
That's
could?
a certain band.
What band would you imagine them doing covers of?
I mean, the band that doesn't get spoken on this channel.
No, not them. Not them.
Not that band.
No, not that band. Not that band. Not that.
Well, then I would.
Oh, hello. You've frozen. Oh no, Bennett.
Hey.
Oh wait.
I think we're back.
Oh, there we go. All right. Hello.
Hello.
Okay.
I think that's Howard. That's not me this time.
I don't know actually.
I had to think a little bit of TRiDENT, but I don't think that's actually the group they were covering. I think they're probably things like Scandal, maybe something like that.
Interesting. Actually, it's interesting you mentioned the TRiDENT comparison. Because of the fact that actually
Could have been because she kind of reminds me of the TRiDENT singer, actually, from just appearance-wise.
Well, I think something about the way she uses her voice, although their voices are a bit different, I feel like she uses her voice in a similar way to Asaka from TRiDENT. There's a lot of those sort of big front notes, and she throws herself into them, and there's a lot of that kind of thing, which is, I think, a very TRiDENT-esque quality. But actually, the band that they got quite popular for covering is a band who I'm also wearing.
Oh yeah, I can see that with the intro and the more heavier parts. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think the conclusion that I came to, and this is what I want to get your opinion on. I think so. A lot of basically Band-Maid fans have been jumping on board, going, "Well, look, they kind of like a spiritual junior to Band-Maid." But in a way, I liked that. But I've always been thinking as well. As much as I like that, I definitely don't want them to just be another Band-Maid. We've already got a Band-Maid. I want them to be something of their own. And although I see the comparisons,
I didn't think this sounded like a Band-Maid copy to me.
Exactly.
I mean, I can see the similarities, like I said, in like this beginning part and this more hard rock part. That I can totally see, like the comparison to Band-Maid. But the other parts sounded to me more, I don't know, not really the Band-Maid style, I would say, of punk rock.
No, I thought the chorus was very catchy, which is not something that Band-Maid usually veer towards. They're not big into catchy choruses so much as slightly more anthemic ones, but not really catchy choruses.
Yeah, I guess that's true in general.
So,
Hey, you are the Band-Maid expert here.
yeah, I was about to say, the t-shirts are giving away our cause or allegiance. I'm in the rock camp. You're more in the metal camp here. Well,
I have all the albums here somewhere.
go on, go. You got to dig them all out now. Got to dig them out and
It's over there.
prove your fealty. But when you hear a band like this, as like someone who, well, I know you've got into more different music, but you definitely got a lot of a metal streak is definitely at your heart. I mean, what do you feel about this? Is this sort of thing that you would listen to? How do you feel about this band? And sort of like, do you feel like got a definite identity?
Well, that's hard to say after just one song. I would
Yeah,
have to listen to a couple of more songs, obviously. But like just this song, it made me curious to listen to more of them. I want to hear their first song and whatever they will put out next, because yeah, it has a lot of elements that I like. But like I said, this punk rock style that they were going to, I had to think of more things like Scandal or older stuff, like Sum 41, Blink 182, things like that. It was more in that vein than Band-Maid for me.
is that because Band-Maid you'd see more as like a hard rock band, or?
I don't know. They have it's hard to describe, but they have a different vibe about their music. And this, I don't want to say it sounded like more Western, but in a way, it had more of that old school punk rock vibe. And Band-Maid has, in my opinion, a more modern style.
That's really interesting. In a way, I think when I think about Band-Maid, I think about so they cross this interesting border in that they have kind of a fairly modern sound in that they're very open to things like production, and they use a fairly unique sound in the way that Miku and Saiki's voices work together and everything. But it seems that they've attracted a lot of fans of old hard rock, of older hard rock fans, and I think that's because there are certain core qualities to Band-Maid that have a little bit of an old school hard rock. You could jump from Motorhead to Band-Maid without too many like net breaking turns.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting because I feel like they're a combination of the old and the new. When it comes to neki, considering that the first single was at least within the similar genre to this one, although the two songs are quite different in their own ways. I get what you mean in that you can. It probably reminds you a lot of old school like pop punk sort of songs, but I feel like there is something quite different in the way they do that. That's interesting though. You got me thinking though. I wonder if you're more familiar with a genre, do you see things as feeling more fresh because you've heard more of it? Whereas if you're less familiar with a genre, do things sound a little bit more of the past? So if you listened to like a lot of pop punk, do you think you would?
Yeah, that's kind of the question. I would say to me it didn't necessarily feel fresh or new, but it felt like a good combination of things that I already love. If you want to put it that way.
So kind of like a more of a, I'd say like a homage to the genre, like a homage to the best
I mean,
parts of the genre.
not every band has to like reinvent music or invent a new genre. They
Now,
can just
you
do something
I
that
keep
works.
my standards high, Benedict. Every band has to reinvent music. You know how this is. So I see these
No, but I
bands.
think like the combination of it, I didn't expect it like after this hard rock intro, I didn't expect it to go to that more pop punk style. And so I
That
would
threw
say
me too.
that itself was an interesting fact. Yeah.
When a lot of us were waiting for this to come out, there was a teaser that I wasn't actually originally planning to listen to. I clicked on it because I thought the video had come out, and then it found out it was actually the teaser, so I stopped it quickly. But I caught the first bit of the riff at the beginning. I was like, okay, so I kind of already know it's going to be like a hard rock song. So I went into it kind of knowing how the song like riff was. I was like, it's going to start like that. It started like that. I was like, okay, we got a hard rock song. And I was really surprised when it took that turn into like the sort of nice, beautiful major chord style melody, and then you got that big uplifting chorus. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, it does it smoothly. I've got a lot of respect for bands who can go through different ranges of mood and emotion, and it sounds smooth. It doesn't sound jarring. So I'd say there's kind of an effortless simplicity to this.
I mean, if you want, we can also talk about Gold Dash by Gacharic Spin, because I feel there are some similarities to the topic in that there are a lot of like more simpler songs on there.
Now, that's really interesting that you added Gold Dash to that, because I mean, you know, as a Gacharic Spin fan,
I know that it's your least favorite album.
It's my least favorite Gacharic Spin album. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was
like I kind of wanted to know why exactly that is, and I think could it be that just it's more simple overall, and maybe that you like expect Gacharic Spin to be a certain style, and this is just not that style.
That's interesting. See, okay, when I hear Gold Dash, I think perhaps my biggest problem with Gold Dash was, and I want to ask in a minute how the connection to neki actually, because this is a really interesting comparison. But when I hear Gold Dash, my problem with it is that okay, Gacharic Spin have always had this ability to have like a wow factor. You know, you listen to them, there's a wow factor. It's crazy, you know, from Oreo in the hamburger outfit on stage, from all this. It's crazy, it's in your face. That's great. Now, I didn't know at the time that Gold Dash was the first album where we had full-on Angelina lead vocals for considerable parts of the album. I wasn't really au fait enough with the...
I wouldn't necessarily say she's lead vocals even in this.
But she has a much more prominent role starting from this album.
Exactly, yeah.
I think this was kind of like a transition album. The problem for me, and this is where I think a lot of people might get angry with me saying this, it felt like this album was trying really hard to be wow, we're crazy. So like from the very first song, it's like sort of suddenly like, oh, crazy stuff happens, quiet, crazy, and it's like it all felt very jarring to me. Like it was, I guess you could say that there wasn't, to me, it didn't feel like the crazy bits were actually crazy. They just felt very like loud, quiet. Oh, something weird happens. And then you get bits where there were some bits where there was a lot of sounds happening at the same time, but they didn't feel like they were melding in the way that most Gacharic Spin songs, it's the thing you listen and just all the sounds wash over you and there's so many things happening, but they just seem to click. Whereas on like Gold Dash, I was listening to them and the things just sounded messy at points. Like I was like, this doesn't sound...
Really?
It doesn't sound like a proper arrangement.
So for you would say there are certain wild and crazy parts that it's not necessarily less intense than the other albums.
Well, it depends what you mean by intense. I mean, if it's kind of, I mean, I guess, and this is a really unfair comparison. I'm just going to say before I give it, I'm using a deliberately hyperbolic comparison. But I think for me, the difference is...
Get your fists ready.
Like the usual kind of crazy that you get from Gacharic Spin is like an intense thriller that like has you on the edge of your seat, not knowing whatever's going to happen. Whereas Gold Dash's idea of intense is more like a horror movie that keeps on doing jump scares. It's just like it doesn't feel like it flows. It's just like bah, bah, bah. It's like okay, it's like bro, just.
I mean that's a good analogy, but I didn't feel that way when I was listening to it. I felt that just the whole album overall was toned down compared to everything else that I've heard from them before. Didn't feel like there were these crazy parts even in there, apart from a couple of songs. But overall, just felt a lot more structured, a lot more.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know, like usual songs, and not necessarily like the Gacharic Spin craziness that just you never know what's gonna be. Well,
yeah, I mean, I guess maybe that's the thing. Maybe Gacharic Spin are at their best when they're actually being full on complicated and crazy, because that's when it works. And maybe when they try to simplify their songs, they end up putting the focus in the wrong places. I got to be honest.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've been told that a lot of songs on there haven't been written by Gacharic Spin themselves. They have actually external writers. So that could also explain a lot why their songs sound so different.
My knowledge is that was a thing. I don't know that is still a thing, and I'm not sure really when that line was crossed over.
I think it's just Gold Dash that has a couple of that.
I think some of their earlier albums had like contributing writers, and I think Gold Dash.
Yeah, I don't know those.
my understanding is that Gold Dash was kind of like a transition phase for the band in a lot of ways, which was interesting because the self-entitled album that came afterwards was just like it was actually the self-entitled album was probably, in my opinion, more simple, but it really clicked. Like everything
Really?
clicked. It felt
But it
like
has a lot of like crazy songs on it, I would have to say.
I
Like
guess it's the
Mindset is on
subjectivity of
there,
what's
and the
crazy.
first two.
Mindset is one of their simplest songs, in my opinion.
Simplest.
It's very simple. It's very bare bones, very stripped
Are you
back compared to their usual.
insane? Are we talking about the same song?
Well, it was interesting because we were having a talk just before we pressed record on this, where we were talking about a difference in like what we find to be like to sound big and not, which can be quite different. But yeah, it's like so like Mindset is very furious. There's a lot happening, but it's all happening. You know, it's not happening in layers. There's not big layers of things happening. It's more just like the bass will be really really frantic and stuff like that. But overall, the song is not like throwing lots of things at you. It's just throwing sort of spoon feeding like a few things at a time, which are maybe quite frantic in their own right. But yeah, you look at something like you compare that to something like Replica, and it's throwing like lots of sounds that are all doing frantic things at the same time, but they're sitting well together. So yeah, I don't know. I felt that the Self-Entitled album was a bit of a stripped back one, but then it kind of like threw back in with like
I gotta say, I don't agree on Mindset. To me, Mindset has a lot of layers that are all like melding together really nicely, especially in the just instrumental parts. But
they meld together nicely, but it's just not as much. Do you know what? So every time we have a
there's
conversation,
a lot going on in there.
every time
I'm
we have a
not sure.
conversation, I feel like I have to go back and listen to the songs just to check that we're talking about the same bloody song.
Yeah.
But okay,
Same.
so I want to bring this comparison back a little bit for a couple of reasons. I mean, first of all, I just wanted to sort of bring it back to where was the neki connection? So with neki, what was it? Was it the range of different things they were trying to do in one song? Where did you get that Gacharic Spin feel?
No, I think it was more like that they are not really reinventing any stuff. They are just doing things that work and combining them in a good way. And they are not like reinventing any genres or something. And that's kind of how also I felt with Gold Dash, that they are not like, experimenting, trying new things, but more like, doing what's working, you know?
I think that's a general quality of a lot of the best Japanese bands, though, because there is that element that, I mean, we joke, but there is that element that it's very hard to reinvent the wheel, and there's only so many things you can do, and most of them have been done to a certain degree when you think about various sounds and things you can achieve. But when it comes to structuring music, that's where the real interest is. And you look, even, I mean, it was only just over 10 years ago that Babymetal really blew everyone's mind just by basically putting idol music together with metal. And so it just which kind of shows you how much room there is to really wow people if you can like do structurally interesting things. And I think that's what Gacharic Spin do. It's like no individual part of their sound has never been done before, but the way that they put it together, I guess it's an extension of the fact that most contemporary music is based off of 12 notes that everyone's played before, but it's the order you put them together and the way you play them that makes a difference. But
let me ask you, you said before I was listening to the song, there's a certain aspect that's going to be interesting. That's why you want to talk about that song. Which one is that?
Well, there's a few aspects for me. So the things that jumped out for me, I mean, first of all, I have to say the fact that this has appealed so much to Band-Maid fans. I'm going to be interested to see how their fandom grows, because I think obviously they've warmed to the band because of the fact that they are they're within the same genre as Band-Maid at least, and they seem to obviously shown an affinity to Band-Maid anyway by like doing covers of their songs previously. So a lot of them have done. But I'd be interested to know how Band-Maid fans progress with their music, because it seems to be a little bit lighter than Band-Maid. And as I said, Band-Maid has appealed to a lot of heavier fans, and it seems that you want to get international fans. A lot of the time, veering heavy is the way to go, because you look at most overseas people who are desperate for new music, they tend to be the hard rock fans. So for me, neki is an interesting like comparison in that I don't see them ever being as heavy as Band-Maid, but they have all of the musical chops to as they grow, do all the same things. I mean, the drummer, she might not be super technical, but the way that she structured that rhythm was fantastic. Yeah, the structure of the rhythm in that song is really clever. So one of the first points that really came across to me was just this feeling, is this, because I noticed a lot of Band-Maid fans came from Babymetal, I've heard from talking to a lot of them. So Babymetal, then you go to Band-Maid, which is, it's not metal, it's hard rock. And then we got a lot of...
Yeah, kind of the same for me.
Yeah, and we get Band-Maid fans maybe coming over to neki. It's like, how many stages removed do you think they are from listening to, I don't know, AKB?
I'm not sure how that works exactly.
It's like the separations from Kevin Bacon. It's the separations from AKB. How many steps to get a heavy metal fan into idol music?
No, but I think it really... well, you have to tell me. You can let me know in the comments how it is about how you feel about it if you've never heard neki before and you know of Band-Maid, because I didn't necessarily put this to Band-Maid. Like, I wasn't thinking of Band-Maid when listening to the song. I mean, yeah, in hindsight, it totally makes sense that certain parts, but like most of the song, yeah, I wouldn't have made the Band-Maid comparison, but if I would have known they do Band-Maid covers, probably I would have like tried to listen for that. So I think, yeah, really, that probably made a huge impact, because I would think if they, just came out with the song, no previous history, they didn't do any covers ever, I'm not sure if it would like catch all the Band-Maid fans in a way that it does now.
I think there is a... Yeah, I mean, the Band-Maid fans, for a start, they would have had more trouble finding them. I always say this to artists, as I always say to artists, is like, if you want to get your name out there, just do a couple of covers of bands who you like and who are liked by similar people who you want to like you. If you do those kind of covers, you'll quickly gather up the fans, and you'll immediately have a good rapport with them, because they'll immediately feel close to you, because they'll feel like, oh, well, we're both friends of this, so now I'm friends with you, which means, oh, you've got music, now I can be your fan as well. So it's a fantastic way to do it. Reminds me a little bit, though, of how Nemophila like got off the ground with all those covers. Even like Nemophila, with all of their reputation, they kicked out a couple of covers on their way to that, didn't they?
They did, absolutely. They still do, I think, new ones.
Oh, what was that thing? I heard about this, and then I started seeing clips of it. Apparently, on tour,
I'm not sure which.
They pick a song by every band they tour with, and they cover one song by every band they tour with. I
didn't know that. That's cool.
I don't know this for certain, but they suddenly started like busting out a bunch of cover songs by bands who I wouldn't expect. Like they did like Andy by Dizzy Sunfist. I was like, okay. And so I wasn't getting it. And then I saw a comment somewhere that apparently they're doing a cover of one song by every band they tour with. I was like, that is awesome.
Cool.
That is very cool. But I should add as well, though.
Check out that channel.
I'm going to be... So this is the bit where now I throw this bit of news on you. I'm going to be seeing neki live in less than 2 weeks, about a couple of minutes walk from my house, literally at a live venue round the corner. And it's a venue that's so small that sometimes, depending on the band sizes, they actually just take away the stage because it's too much, takes too much room up. So they have like people performing on little boxes in the corner sometimes. It is a tiny venue.
Nice.
I'm going to be stuffed up in front of neki going, hi, remember me from YouTube. And apparently they've been touring pretty frequently, and apparently some people who've seen them live already have said that they don't always do Band-Maid covers. But do you know what? If they do a Band-Maid cover, it'll be something for me to talk about on the Ears to the East. But the truth is I don't even care if they do a Band-Maid cover. I just want to hear them. I want to hear what they got. I want to hear what else they got. I really like what they got.
But I mean, they just released 2 songs, so I'm guessing they have a couple of more. Because they won't just play 2 songs and then leave, right?
They just play them again.
Hey, that's it. We don't have anything more.
One of the bands I support, Sugar Spray, they did they did their first headlining gig. It went really well. They got to the end of the set, and then everyone started calling for an encore. They were like, we've played all of our songs. They came out and they played one of the songs again. I was like, yes.
Quietly walk away.
Leave them wanting more. That become a signature move.
Yeah.
But so just so we don't care about our fans, we just leave when we're done. But I think
Next time, leave one song.
so yeah, just end early. It's like, well, no, we're not ending early. We expect an encore. But so Neki, they've got a mini album EP thing coming out called Exclamation, and so that'll be coming out I think about a week after I see them, so later in July. And when that comes out, that is going to be, I think, a 5-track. I'm gonna have to double check this. I haven't checked the information since they did the release, I must admit, the press release. But I think it's going to be a 5-track mini album EP thing. So I'm expecting they've got at least 5 tracks, and I expect to hear all of them live, meaning that if I try to do reaction videos, I would start every reaction video going, well, I probably heard this live the other day, but let's check it out with you. I just like sip a cup of tea.
Yeah,
I can be even more annoying than I usually am.
But yeah, I mean, that's fun. I mean, I really have to say, I've gotten to see Lovebites recently, and I really have to say these smaller locations, it's something else, because I was so close. For years I've seen these ladies like just on YouTube and on the screen, and then you're just standing there, I don't know, row 5 or 6, and they are just there.
Was it seating?
Yeah, smiling at you.
When you say row, was it seated? Because you said row.
No. Yeah, it's just estimated.
Oh, like 5 deep. Okay, all right.
About row. It was pretty close. That's what I wanted to say.
So it was a small venue. It was
awesome.
You said it was
pretty small venue. I was surprised. It's hard to guess, but maybe, I don't know, 200, 300 people max, I would say.
So a lot like the one where Neon saw them.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. Was it also a pub?
Yeah. It wasn't a pub, no. I think it was it was called Club Vaudeville.
Ooh.
A club, whatever that means.
Sounds like you went to France.
No, but really cool show. And yeah, it's something else than just, being, I don't know, 100 meters away somewhere in the crowd.
But there is that weird thing that I do think this is quite true, and it's quite bizarre that when you see a band who you're used to seeing on YouTube, and then you go see them for the first time live, I mean, as awesome as it is, there is something surreal about how they turn from being that set of pixels that you're so familiar with. You've seen their faces a million times over hours of YouTube view time, and then suddenly there they are in front of you. It's like, it is surreal. You never quite get used to that.
It is surreal, but in a good way, I would say.
Yeah, in a good way. But well, I mean, how do you feel about that? Is it kind of like I always wonder, is it like a shock or something, or is it like a surprise, or is it like you feel?
Well, the only shock was that I got to know Fami's dark side. Well, just in the videos, she's always like super happy, smiling,
Okay.
Super happy, but there are other parts where she's just like doing a Sue death stare, and I was like, whoa.
I was about to say, from the video that Neon uploaded, she looks proper jolly. So maybe there's something about being in Germany.
Most of the time, but there are for the fitting parts in the song, she puts on this certain face.
Especially for the German audience, she tapped into the ultra metal side. And so this image of she's smiling, she looks down and then suddenly up through the eyebrows. It's like the intensity grows.
Kind of like that.
Oh my god. So Fami's supposed to be the cute one.
No, but I have to say it was like exactly what I expected, which was awesomeness. So,
was there anything beyond what you expected? Because I always wonder with Lovebites.
Not really. I mean, how can you go beyond what they are?
Well, I was going to say, I did a reaction for the song "Scream for Me" the other day on my channel, and almost all of I got 2 comments at least that said almost exactly the same thing. So you should have checked out the live version because there are 14 guitar solos. I was like, so surely that's a typo. And then I scroll down and someone else, there are 14 guitar solos. I'm like, So, did anyone get to go home that night? It's like, how long did they just play the one song? Was that was that it? Play the one song for the night and then off we go.
Well, on my show, they did a really cool encore. I thought it was over. Will they do an encore? Maybe one song, and then they did 2 songs, which were Holy War and Glory to the World, like two of the
that's a really good
greatest songs. And even before the concert, I was talking with someone who was like disappointed because he heard the lineup of the shows before and they didn't play Holy War, and it's his favorite song.
Wait, are you flexing?
And then they played it.
You flexing on all the other people who went to those? Those
kind of flex with my
all the people who went to those inferior gigs.
Yes, exactly. Only I got the best.
Yeah,
I actually don't know which songs Neon heard.
Based on the quality of the recording we got back from him, I don't think we'll ever know.
Okay, so his recordings aren't better than mine.
Actually, they weren't bad. They weren't bad. I just feel like he slagged me off in that video, and I'm trying to return the favor a bit. Yeah, I mean, Lovebites though. I get the feeling that their whole thing is that their sound is pretty raw, with exceptions like the added strings and things on the recordings. Their sound is pretty raw anyway. So I think most of the excesses you get from live is like, or either just hearing the song you really want to hear, or hearing it extended and elongated a little bit for the live version. So I think that's probably where a lot of it comes from. But yeah, I mean, definitely Lovebites is a great one. I've never seen them live though, and it's funny. I've ticked off so many bands from the list now. Necki's going to be on it soon, but Band-Maid, all of these. It's obviously TRiDENT a few times, and that's actually another thing. Talking about the whole thing about seeing people live, I've seen TRiDENT live twice, and of course, we all know I'm not going to start standing about TRiDENT again. Well, I'm just going to talk about them instead. But so
and he walked out of Bolivia.
No, I just didn't walk in.
That would make it any better.
But so I've seen TRiDENT.
I won't forget, Howard. I won't forget.
I know you won't. But yeah, so I've seen TRiDENT live twice, and once was at Zepshinjuku, which is a pretty big venue, and I saw them at Eggman, which is quite small. But I went to this event, which was very small number of tickets got out, and they were free of charge, but you had to be like upfront to get them. And it was just basically to go to a music store in Tokyo where like Epiphone had a new set of guitars coming out, and basically she was just going to come down and she was just going to demo and talk about the guitars and like demo all 5 of the guitars. And it was just like, hey, we're going to just film this. This is her demoing the guitars, and we want just a handful of people to come down, sit down, and be there. And it was really weird. I went there, and so I got the ticket. I went to go, yay! And I turned up, and I was lucky there was free.
So you were hand selected.
I was hand selected. That's the way I like to word it. And it was really weird because I'm sitting right at the front, and you're just there, and in front of you is just like the chair where she's going to sit, and there's the person who's going to interview her, and she just comes out, and it's like without all the stage lights and everything, and then she's sitting there in front of you. It's like suddenly.
So it took away from the magic a little bit. What are you trying to say?
No, I guess in a way it took away from the mystique, but in a way I kind of like that because I've worked with so many bands that I'm so used to seeing bands more just as very normal people. This is why I always feel sympathetic when people tell me stories of like, oh, this band, there's that story about Scandal when they played at a show for too long and the singer got heat stroke and stuff, and people are like, oh, it's so brave that the band muddled through, and I just get angry, like, how the fuck did they let that happen to her? It's like, I'm just angry that no one stepped in and stopped it. It's like, she should have been looked after, she should have been given more water. And so like I see musicians very much in a kind of like that personal way, even if I don't know her from Scandal, but from working with bands. So in a way it's nice because like seeing her up close and personal like that, it's like she crosses that barrier and you just kind of like, yeah, I can kind of almost just imagine just working with you. I can just imagine just sitting in a backstage room talking to you, making sure everything's set up and all that. It's like just suddenly you feel that nice personable touch. So there is something nice about meeting these people. But I had the same thing.
Do you think it makes a difference, like the degree of their fame?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, I was going to quickly add, like, I Love Me. I'd been a fan of them for years, even though we'd been trolling them.
I Love Me?
The band I Love Me.
That's the name of the group.
Yeah.
I thought you were just saying that.
That's also a comment, but we'll do that video later. That's an OnlyFans one. So I Love Me have been a band who I got into years ago, and I really liked them. And so they're smaller now, but they had a period when they were first out, when I first got to know them, where they were getting like hundreds of thousands of views on their videos and everything. And so they were the first band who I did the interview session thing with Baka Broadcast, where we went and they recorded an exclusive session. And it was the same when I met them, but that was even weirder because we were going into a studio to do a session. It was just like me, them, their manager, and Choka, just us in a studio together. And it was just so strange sitting down and just talking to them. And they're sitting there chatting, and you're like, I've watched your music videos on repeat play for hours. Don't say that out loud. Keep it inside. But yeah, if it was something if it was something like Babymetal, even though comparatively I probably don't listen to Babymetal any more than I listen to I Love Me, probably about a similar amount. It would be, obviously there would be that whole thing about, how exclusive and how difficult these people are to get to, and the mystique would make it a much bigger thing.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like for Babymetal, exactly, they really want to keep that mystique. You're not getting to see a lot of like Suzuka Nakamoto. You're just gonna see Su metal, So I think they put a lot of effort into keeping it that way, and I like that about it. But I also liked, for example, at the Lovebites show, when they were just like taking a break between two songs. I don't know, Asami was talking to the audience for a couple of minutes, things like that. I think that really, brought a kind of more personal connection to the group, which I think, might take away from that, they are the superstars mystique, but it also brings you closer.
In a way, it's kind of one of the things I like about Babymetal's current direction, is that I feel like, okay, they're kind of acting up a little bit and having a bit more silly fun, but I do feel like just allowing their personalities to more drip out and be visible on camera and visible in their performances. I think in a way that's a really good thing, because I get they have to have a certain degree of mystique, and I think it's nice in a way. Not every celebrity has to be constantly accessible. That can be it can go too far the other way, and it often does. So in a way, it's nice.
You won't see them like going to some radio show where they're just unscriptedly talking to someone for an hour or something like that. I think something like that will not happen for Babymetal.
But I think I'm glad they're coming a little bit closer to that middle line by just being a little bit more personal. And they do occasional interview performances online and stuff I've seen, But it's not the same as, like I say, they won't just appear on a podcast just talking free form and stuff. But so maybe it's the thing when you see a band live, it's as much the mystique as it is just the fame. Fame has a degree of mystique because people are less accessible. Like, I get the feeling like if I met Dave Grohl, for example, I get the feeling that it would be like really simple, because I get the feeling like Dave Grohl is just so completely he's Dave Grohl. It's like there's no mystique about him at all. That I think if I was just walking down the street, I saw Dave Grohl, I'd be like, hey, Dave Grohl. I think I'd just talk to him normally. I don't think there'd be any issue there at all. Whereas like if I bumped into Su Metal down the street, I'd be like, what do I do? What do I do?
Pass out.
No, you'd be really chill. You'd be like, Howard, let me deal with this. And then Maya Metal would come around the corner and he'd just faint.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck.
No, it would see Sue and that, where's more?
She's just the indication that Moa's coming for you. That's all she's there for. She's just your warning.
No, I love Sue too.
I like how you said that. I love you too. Just, there's levels of love.
I can only be one on the top.
Well, this is one of the things that is kind of fun for me, though, is because I know, I mean, you never know with these bands how they're going to go, but sometimes you see a band and you go, look, everything is set that it's going in the right direction. And when I see Neki, I see a band who I think, we don't know, but it all seems to be the right starting point to go somewhere really cool in the future. So for me, this opportunity to go to this gig, I mean, they've already started playing, not big venues, but places like Eggman. I mentioned they played Eggman recently, and that's where I saw TRiDENT at, where I said it was quite a small venue. For neki, it's probably quite a big venue. It's kind of a big live house, but still it's a live house. It's still comparatively small compared to the live venues most people be used to. But I'm going to be seeing neki at this place where we're going to be fucking crammed in to even get in there. And I can't help but feel like this is going to be one of those things where I'm going to need to document this moment, because there will come the day, very likely, that neki will have Mystique, that they will be that big band, and I will be that person who will go, what? You saw them at that tiny venue? And I'll be like,
well, actually,
let me tell you a story.
I.
So I was like, well,
Yeah.
I do the one line that makes everyone hate you. Well, I liked them before they were popular. Right. Well, of course, you only got into them after their famous single about the August evenings. I was into them long before that. Thank you. I'm going to be that insufferable fan who everyone hates. Yeah. But no, anyway, look, this has been a really cool chat. I like this because this chat's gone all over the place. We talked about so many things, and I actually feel like this has been exactly the kind of chat that I like having with you off of Ears to the East. So it's kind of nice to have this chat with you on Ears to the East. Because we talk about topics sometimes, but we just decided today, you've been busy, you haven't been able to catch up with recent music, so I was like, listen to this one, and we just had a free-form chat. Yeah, no, it's, man, well, I'm guessing you'll be sharing with everyone at home when it's complete what you've been working on.
It's a death
I
ray.
will. It's a what?
It's a death ray.
Oh, yeah. You will know when it's done.
Well, you might know, or you might be one of the unlucky few who don't know.
Better become a Babymetal fan.
Oh shit, that's what it's for. Where the fuck is my shirt? Anyway, look, this has been absolute pleasure as always, mate. We're going to go check out the new Gacharic Spin single, which will be coming out in a few minutes after we record this. For anyone who's seeing this, it's already come out, but as we're recording it, it's about to come out. So we're going to go check that out now. We're going to leave you be, everyone at home. Thank you for joining us. As well, if you want more of these off-the-cuff conversations, let us know. Remember to like and subscribe and all the YouTuber stuff. And also
remember
to
keep
your
ears
to
the
east. I gotta press stop.
What's going on with my camera?
Oh no, that was really weird. I thought you were glitching out. Is this the bit where we realised that actually? Oh no, he's been AI all this time.
Click the button already.